How are we all doing today? My name is David Cugino, and in today's book review, notice there are no bookmarks because oddly, this book that I'm about to review for you all is underlying anything because this book is a story that was turned into a Hollywood movie. Now, the story is honestly very inspirational and so inspirational that it is unreal to me about what this guy did. Now, I'll start off. I'm about to read you a story of a lawyer. He was an attorney. I think he was a defense attorney, I believe, but this story was turned into a Hollywood movie. The movie was really good, and this guy's whole life story of redemption, forgiveness, and just simply helping people was very inspirational. So I'll tell a few stories today. As this, there will probably be no subtitles during this book review. I mean, there might be a few. I might find something to throw in there because I prepared for this and then I looked through it and I saw it didn't underline anything when I read it. So I guess actually this will be my first subtitle. When you read things, underline them and memorize them, because that is how you take out from what you read. You underline it and you memorize it. So that's just some basic advice. The book I have for us today is Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. Now, there is a very famous actor, and the movie is the same title as the book. The movie came out in, I believe, 2019. But it was a very good movie. It was very inspirational. So what Brian Stevenson does is he specializes in going to death row inmates who are believed to be innocent, and goes through the research and everything, and is very good at fighting for basically their lives and freeing people from death row. Now, this man has freed over, I believe, 30 inmates from death row through his career. It might be more now. But that is just so crazy to me how he defended all those people and set them free. Now, the main character, whose name is Walter, I won't mention his last name, but his name is Walter. Brian Stevenson and Walter, whom he met, was convicted of a murder. He was driving home one night from hauling wood because he was I don't think he was a lumberjack, but he hauled lumber. And then he got arrested and got thrown on to death row. Then Brian Stevenson met Walter, and Brian Stevenson worked so hard and went through so much hate and discipline to free Walter from death row. And he did. He freed him, I believe, after about 10 years of being on there. I believe that. But when he freed him, this is the crazy part, they remained friends after, but just having that in your life story, hey, I got freed from death row. I was about to be executed, but I didn't commit the crime, and a defense attorney defended me, and I got off. And Walter lived natural causes, he lived a full life after that part of his story. But not only that, but there's another story in here about a guy named Herbert, whom Walter was friends with. And Walter got to hear Herbert, unfortunately being, on death row. And he realized that he did not want that to be his life. Ever. But now, how has Brian Stevenson become the defense attorney? Well, obviously he went to law school, passed a law firm. And he realized that he just wanted to help people. Now, if I look at the back of the book here, from one of the most brilliant and influential lawyers of our time comes an unforgettable true story about the redeeming potential of mercy. Brian Stevenson was a gifted young attorney when he founded the Equal Justice Initiative, a legal practice dedicated to defending the poor and wrongly condemned, and those trapped in the furthest reaches of our criminal justice system. One of his first cases was that of Walter McMillan. Well, I said not to say his last name, but I said it anyway. And think about that. It was his first case. That I did not know. A young man sentenced to die for notorious murder he didn't commit. The case drew Stevenson to a tangle of conspiracy, political machination, and legal brinksmanship, and transformed his understanding of mercy and justice forever. So, honestly, think about that. Transformed his understanding of mercy and justice forever. So what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to mercy and justice, some of these people, you can't just throw them away like animals and just be you know what, he committed this crime, we're going to keep him there. But honestly, you got to really look in depth because some people did not do it. Now, I understand wrong place, wrong time. There's more, I think there's more stories out there of wrong place, wrong time than of just like, hey, I did it, and I did it out of spite, I did it out of hate, or I just did it because I was involved with the wrong people. It's just like, yep, I went somewhere. Like, Walter McMillian was hauling lumber, and was just driving home one night, and then the police pulled him over, pulled him out of his car and arrested him. But just think about that for a second. Transformed his understanding of mercy and justice forever. Think of a story of where he met a... Well, this is a story of where he met a lady whose boy, keep in mind boy, was, and she mentioned that he was accused of something that he didn't do. And Brian talked to her for like 2 hours, and this is what Brian had to say after he introduced himself and talked to her for a bit. It's been wonderful, Brian. No, I'm sorry, this is what she said to Brian when she met him. It's been wonderful, Brian. When I first came, I looked for people who had lost someone to, or some violent crime. Then it got to the point where some of the ones grieving the most were the ones whose children or parents were on trial. As I just started letting anybody lean on me who needed it, all these young children being sent to prison forever, all this grief, and judges throwing people away like they're not even human. People, hurting each other like they don't care. I don't know, it's a lot of pain. I decided that I was supposed to be here to catch some of the stones people cast at each other. I chuckled when she said it. During the McMillian hearings, a local minister had held at a regional and asked me to come speak. There were a few people in the African American community whose support of Walter was muted, not because they thought he was guilty, but because he had an extramarital affair and wasn't active in church. Think about that. They thought he was guilty because he had an extramarital affair and wasn't active in the church. At the church meeting, I spoke mostly about Walter's case, but I also reminded people that when the women accused of adultery was brought to Jesus, he told the accusers who wanted to let he who is without sin cast the first stone. The woman's accusers retreated, and Jesus forgave her and urged her to sin no more. But today, our self-righteousness, our fear, and our anger have caused even the Christians to hurl stones at each other who fall down, even when we know we should forgive or show compassion. I told the congregation that we can't simply watch that happen. I told them we have to be stone catchers. So think about that. So, a good lesson in Brian's story, and a very good show of character in Brian's story, is Brian probably defended people who didn't do it, but were bad people just in general. Walter McMillian had an affair, and I guess not being active in church is not bad really at all, but he also had an affair. So you might think, well, gee, he was a bad person and was bad overall, but honestly, you gotta show mercy to some people. People do make mistakes, and people do make poor choices, but sometimes they let their poor choices get the best of them. Now, damaging your life with your own two hands, if Walter McMillian did commit this crime and have an affair, you might think, well, we should show mercy. Well, he did do that with his own two hands. It was his fault. But the affair is not as bad as murder. Now you might think, well, cheating and lying is equally as bad. Well, sometimes showing mercy, like how he does in the book, is just all people need. People being like, hey, you make poor choices, you just need to stop making poor choices. And also, even if he did commit the crime, crime, but that still does not make him a super bad person just because he had an affair. And all out of the 30 people that Brian Stevenson set free, they might have were in gangs, might have been addicted to what, might have been drug involved. I mean, there just might have been all this stuff involved with their lives, and when they got sentenced to prison, they're like, well, yeah, they put themselves in that situation, but showing mercy and showing them there's a path to redemption is sometimes all they need. And it works out sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's why you show mercy to people. So think about that for a second. Now, my opinion overall of this book. This book was very good, and it was a very good story of redemption. There's some graphic stuff in it, and I tried to really mumble or murmur some of the stuff that I can't really say on here. But the story overall it's a true story, but this guy's life of just freeing people from death row is just crazy. It's like, it's so unreal to me how he managed to free 30 people from death row. It might be more now because I'm pretty sure he still does this today. But he has his own law firm now. He obviously has written books and won a lot of awards. And it's one of the best books of the year at the time, which was 2014, which that's such a long time ago. I was in 7th grade in 2014. That's going on 12 years ago. I was in 7th grade 12 years ago. That's a long time. But when it comes to showing mercy, the takeaway for this video is show compassion to other people. Obviously, you're going to be like in the grocery store and there's someone who's going to be probably rude and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm sorry that you're having a bad day. I won't do it again. Just I hope your mood gets better. And that's what you do. And honestly, people being rude to you, it's hard because you want to hurt them. Now, obviously, something I learned in my crawl class is people who want to touch you want to hurt you. But if words are just being yelled across from each other, you just simply back away. Assault and battery is a long time in prison, but also you have to live with. If you hit someone the right way, you can really hurt somebody. Not only will you go to prison, you have to live with the rest of your life being like, wow, I could have just walked away and have not done anything. But honestly, that's what it is. Like, my last boss was mean, and I mouthed off a little bit, but I didn't say how much I didn't like him. I didn't make fun of him for his weight. I didn't do any of that. I came close to it, but the Lord was telling me, He's like, David, sometimes it's just not worth it. And not only to show compassion, but the other takeaway is just having your head sometimes is just not worth it. Now, what kind of lessons can you learn from a story like this? Well, you can learn to, obviously you can learn to work. Because he's working day and night trying to find some defense to free Walter from his prison sentence. So you learn that. You learn that there is always redemption anywhere, even behind bars. You learn to show compassion, and you also obviously learn enough. Getting justice takes time. It takes a lot of time to get justice in life. And sometimes justice you don't get in life, which is sad, but Brian Stevenson managed to get justice for these people through his work ethic, through his brains, and oddly enough, he was young. He was like in his later 20s when he was doing this. And Walter was his first case, and was also pretty soon after he just passed the bar exam. I believe in Louisiana. I believe. But this was a good book. It's a great story. The movie is great as well. And the movie is pretty close to what the book has. I won't mention the famous actor that's in the movie, but the actor does a really good job. But I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you need an inspirational story or an inspirational read, this is the book to have for it. I'm probably going to reread it, and I'll find some stuff to underline, stuff like that. So he would say be a stone catcher, don't throw the stones, be a stone catcher. But this video, I hope you all help somebody today. And if you're all going through something, there is a path to redemption out there for you. You just have to find it, and you have to pursue it. Thank you all, and you all have a great day.